two more steps before we can start using our block. We need to set up a package.json file. Basically, this file will lay out all the different dependencies that our block will need in order for it to work in Gutenberg. So we're going to be using npm a lot. So just in the notes, I've included a link to this npm documentation, and the documentation's phenomenal. It talks about what npm is and tells you all about how to install packages working with this package.json file, and then it's got this incredible library of different packages you can install. So in this first go through of setting up the package.json file, I'm going to take a little more time just to give you a little detail on each of the things we're going to be loading so you feel comfortable with it. And it's actually super simple, and once you have an understanding of npm and what all it's doing, then you'll have no problem setting this up yourself. I've always struggled with this in the past, and now that I see how simple and powerful it is, I love using it. So we have to install this package.json in order to get everything to work with React and the latest version of JavaScript that we're using. So let's dive right in. You're going to want to pull up your command line. Make sure you're in the O1 basic block directory. And the first thing you're going to want to do is create a package.json file. Now we could do touch package.json, but npm has a initialized function built in, and it'll generate this package.json file for us, and then we can go through and add some of this stuff as we go. So the command that you need to enter is npm init, and this will just walk you through creating the file. So I'm pretty much just going to hit enter. Package name, O1 basic block, great, version 1.0.0. And so these are the two things that are required, the name and version. Description, I'm just going to leave blank. Entry point, block.js, that's right, since that's the base file that we're going to be using, that we're building from. Test command, it's going to generate a script for us, which I'll show you how to use that. So we can just leave that as is. Git repository, we don't need that. Keywords, author, don't worry about that. License, ISC, is this okay? Yes. All right, and so it should generate a package.json file. There it is. See it right here. Okay, so there's our name, our version. Go ahead and delete description. Scripts, author, license. I guess we could go ahead and leave author. I'll just put Lee Shadle in there. Okay, so then the next thing we need to do is define all the dependencies required in order for our block to work. And these dependencies are just things that I have read up on and everything that we need. And honestly, I just went through and kind of like put something in and tried running my block and then tried pulling it back out and just to see if it would work. So I'd recommend just playing around with it. Like once we define these dependencies, like pull one out and try running your block once the block's ready, and you'll run into errors. You'll see errors and it'll tell you what you need. And then you can come over here to npm and search for what you need. So one of the things we need is the Babel core, the Babel compiler core. So this, I just found it via the search. So I'm going to pull up the command line and we're going to install this. And this is a development dependency, which means that we need it when we're working in development mode, not in production. So npm install --save-dev, and these commands are just straight from npm, and then it's called Babel core, and this will install our Babel core code. Okay, so you'll see this node modules folder and then this package lock.json. And then if we reload this, now you should see this dev dependencies, and we'll see our Babel core. All right, and we're gonna need a few more dependencies here. So I've also got these. We need a Babel loader. It allows the transpiling of JavaScript using Babel and webpack. So basically it just allows Babel and webpack to work together. This loader is gonna work with webpack to bundle everything together for us. We need the Babel preset environment package, and it automatically determines what plugins we need based on the different browsers we're using. And you can define which browsers you want to support. I'm just gonna, if you leave it as is, it'll just support all the browsers and all the latest versions. Babel plugin transform React JSX. It turns JSX into React function calls. So we need this as well because you don't want to have to be manually writing this stuff out. Let's just let it do the heavy lifting for us. Cross env package. It allows us to create variables in our different environments, so we know if we're in production or development. And then finally webpack for bundling everything together. Okay, and now we can install all of these in one command, so we don't need to do these all separate. So we'll do npm install --save -dev to save it to this dev dependencies. And then we just type out each one with a space in between. Babel-loader, Babel-preset-env, Babel-plugin, -transform, React JSX, cross env, and webpack. And again, I got all these package names just from npm here. See, cross-env, Babel plugin, transform, React JSX. Okay, so hit enter, and it's gonna do some work for us. This might take a second. And we should see everything load right here. Perfect, there we go. So we've got all of our dev dependencies we need installed. All right, and then under this scripts tag, we're gonna create two different scripts. So let's change this to build. And so basically what this does is when you are in the command line, you can type npm run build, and it'll run that script. And then we're gonna create another script called dev, and you'll type npm run dev, and it'll run that script. Each time we're developing locally in WordPress, in order for our block to work, you're gonna have to run this npm run dev script. A lot of times I've run into issues where I changed some code in this block.js file, but then I forgot to run the npm run dev and nothing was updating. I was like, what's going on? And it's because I didn't have that npm run dev script running. So we're gonna set these up, and we're gonna set this up in a way that we're gonna be able to use this package.json file on our other blocks that we're gonna be building as well. So we're gonna use that cross env to create a global variable for us. And then our node environment for build mode is gonna be production. So these are variables. Babel env is a variable. Node env is production. We're able to do this because of this cross env package. And then finally, we want to run webpack to bundle everything up. And in the next step, we're gonna set up webpack, and I'm gonna show you how we set that up. So when you run this script, then webpack's configured to do what we need it to do. Okay, and then the other script we need is dev. And you can name these scripts whatever you want. I'm just doing build and dev. You could have it say start, go, stop, whatever. And we're gonna set up variables here as well. Webpack -- watch. Okay. And then finally, the last thing we need to do to have this package.json file all set up is you'll notice we have this Babel plugin transform React. So we need to define this plugin as an attribute in this JSON string that we're creating here. And the only reason I know that is because it's in the documentation for this. So and because I messed around with it. If I ran this package.json file without the extra plugin, I ran into some syntax errors, and so we need to include this. So Babel presets, which this presets is telling us which browsers we're supporting, and so it'll automatically determine if we need any plugins and polyfills. And then finally the plugins that we need, and that plugin we need is Transform React JSX. So again, we have to have these. You're going to run into some errors if you don't have these. I would highly recommend once we have this block all set up, just pulling things in and out, and read through the documentation in npm, read how to uninstall one of these packages, and then remove it from your package.json file. And then once you know how to run these scripts, just try running it, pulling things in and out, adding stuff, and you'll really get a hang of it. It's really quite simple. It just looks a little overwhelming at first. And that's it for this step. In the next step, we're going to set up Webpack really quick and then move on to using our first block and then on to our next block. Hey, so I've got a quick update before I let you move on. Webpack has updated some things, so I wanted to catch this really early on so you don't run into issues with it. We need to install something called webpack CLI in addition to Webpack. So I'm going to go ahead and update both Webpack and then add the package called webpack CLI, and it just allows you to use the command line. It used to be Webpack CLI used to be bundled in with Webpack, but they've since separated it out. And this all has happened since I started creating this course, so I wanted to make sure that you had all the right tools and didn't run into a roadblock early on in the course. So I'm in the block. I need to get out of this, get into the block examples directory, and then I'm going to go into the 01 basic block, and we're just going to do npm install -- save - dev webpack and webpack CLI. Okay. Because we're going to be needing both the updated version of Webpack and Webpack CLI in all the future blocks we build. So I want you set up, right? All right, there we go. All ready to go. All right, thanks, and I will talk to you soon.